So there was this painting called The African Landscape by, what's it?
Reinagle.
Reinagle, okay. You can go and see this in the gallery. Yeah.
Well, the painting, landscape with animals, actually a fictitious landscape, but the artist actually based it on his kind of imagination of Alston Hall, which lies to the north of Doncaster, painted in the 19th century. And at that time, Alston Hall estate had, the owner had lots of animals there, native and non-native animals. So there were zebras there, buffalo, parrots. It was kind of a really, I guess, kind of a bit like a wildlife park. There was also the quagga, which is now an extinct species, but the quagga is in this painting. But also when the animal died, or the foal of the animal, the quagga died, it was preserved, and the taxidermy specimen is now being exhibited in the Danum, and it's still it's quite a unique specimen because it's the only one of its kind in the world, I think. So this kind of story really sort of inspired us, the fact that you had this kind of fictitious landscape, but at the same time you actually had evidence of there was some kind of connection with that reality, and the fact that there was this piece of taxidermy in the museum that was kind of evidence of that story.
It was one of those things where we had to visit to see if the collection, there was enough in there for us to work with. So we arrived at the old museum, we walked in there, and there's dozens and dozens of taxidermy specimens of all different types of creatures, lots and lots of birds, but all different types of creatures. And we were really struck by certain things where there were accidental relationships going on, where there was, for example, a very mean-looking eagle and a very small-looking, quite terrified monkey looking up at it. And it was purely there because it had literally been stored like that. So there were all these interesting and it reminded us just like of the painting, but it's maybe slightly more threat there, wasn't there? And so we thought, yeah, we can run with this. So we had them scanned, digitally scanned, which is a process where it's called laser scanning. So we had a number of specimens scanned, like about 20 of them actually, quite a lot. And so what you end up with is a file, a three-dimensional file that we can then, fly through, make transparent, and do various things with.
The film kind of starts with the painting. It kind of comes up as almost like a dawn chorus, and it takes you on a journey. That's your starting point through a journey where you encounter a range of different creatures, whether they're kind of native or non-native, but they've obviously kind of been rendered as sort of vaporous bodies of light, and they're being projected at a really large scale as well, so they become quite sort of fantastical, really, in a way. It's a whole sort of menagerie of different juxtapositions of different animals.
It's meant to be quite, I suppose, playful in a way, but you can draw your own conclusions. It's left open, and the end sequence is definitely passing through an illusion. The painting is the way in, and the painting is the way out, and there's a sense of passing through this illusion and the knowledge that you might or might not use. It's left there. Working like this with these transparent or semi-transparent screens is so interesting, because whatever space you've got behind it or around it starts to become enmeshed with whatever's going on the screen, and so that becomes actually just an important part of the work. And it's meant to be experienced, actually, hasn't it? It's meant for people to come and see.
I think each of those animals that's part of that taxidermy collection, they've all got a different story, and they've all come from different places. So this idea of them kind of all being part of this artwork and kind of being crossing into another sort of dimension, and I guess kind of bringing them here and kind of projecting them at a really large scale as well. They become, again, in another sort of state, if you like. So the title kind of seemed to sort of sum up the idea, and also the fact that they were all kind of gathering a bit like a watering hole. They were kind of all meeting sort of symbolically in this one place.